Hey guys, Whitney here from TEFLPros, and today I've got a treat for you. We are sitting down with one of our grads. His name is Terriel, also goes by Teacher TT, and he's just a fantastic grad. We've loved keeping in touch with him. He's done everything from live in China to Brazil to teaching online, in person. And he's currently doing some private school work. And he's also doing some cool stuff with teaching test prep. So he actually contacted us recently to get some advice on that because he had a lot of students who were wanting to take like English exams to prove their proficiency in the language. And so he's now started on a new path of dabbling in that, which is really awesome. So sit back, relax, and you're going to have a fun time listening to Terriel share his story with us. Hey, Terriel.
What's up?
How you doing today?
I am great. Just got home from the beach and talking to you now.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on. It's always great to be able to chat with one of our grads and just kind of hear more about their experience overall.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
So how about we kind of go back to before you did anything TEFL related? Tell us a little bit, like, what was your life like before you got into this field?
So I had packed up all my things in my apartment and moved to China to teach English through the game of basketball. So I worked for a company called United States Basketball Academy. And what they are known for is bringing over the better Chinese basketball players to this academy in the foothills of Eugene, Oregon. And we developed them on, they're excluded away from the city life, no cell reception, just river mountains, but they improve their English and they work on their game. And then depending on ages and English levels, they are piped into prep schools or universities. And so I moved to the China side of things to help set up all these academies where we can just kind of collect the students and kind of warm them up for what they're going to look forward to when they get older and get on over to the transfer to the States. So
so you had some experience living overseas then.
I did through this, and it was also my introduction to like English language learning, because I went there like, oh, I'm the American PE teacher, basketball coach. The English part's going to be easy because I'm a native. I got it. Oh, you got to sit down and really think about what you want these kids to learn and say and how to interact. So that's what the experience, that's where it began. And then I was not certified at the time. It wasn't a necessity for the company or for myself. But as my second year, I started hanging out with teachers abroad, from Turkey, from the States, from, all over the world. And we're having dinners and sharing drinks, and they're sharing stories and experiences. And they're like, oh, I make this much because I have this certification. Oh, I don't have this certification, so I only can make this much in this country, or blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, what is this cert? If I'm making this much right now as a basketball coach who's English, how much more could I make? My daughter was on the way. She was being born. She was cooking inside of mom. I'm like, how much more could I make with this certification? So that's kind of where the idea for the TEFL started brewing in the brain. It was just navigating through on my off days in China, hanging out with my expat friends. And it's like, oh, I have this cert, so they have to pay me no less than. Okay.
So how long were you in China in total?
So I arrived here in Brazil. I'm in Brazil now, Pernambuco, and we arrived here January 23rd, 2020. I had been in China for almost 3 complete years.
Okay.
I went to China June 2017. I went home one time for 10 days just to see my family, let them know, hey, I went over abroad. I'm safe. I'm good. here's
Yeah.
some traditional presents, and I'll be back in a few more years.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay. So you had quite the introduction to living overseas, which is great.
Yes.
I think a lot of folks who get into TEFL, they have never lived in another country before. So that's a huge like fear factor, I think, quite honestly, as part of this process. It's like, not only do I have to think about navigating a classroom and like having 20 people like staring at me like, okay, teach me something.
What's next?
What's next? Or I don't understand. What did you just tell me to do? But on top of that, I've got to get on that airplane, you know? And I think for a lot of people, that's like the thrill of it. Like they want to travel, but at the same time, it's like, I'm terrified.
I spoke to one friend and, you know, she was all about it. She did her certification through a different company. I can't recall the name, but you know, I'm sitting there and I'm avoiding the question because she's avoiding the question. Like, okay, when are you getting on the flight? For me, it was easy. I lived in a small apartment. I wanted changes. All my things fit into 2 bags. Put them on the plane, went abroad. So finally we got to the conversation. When are you, oh, I don't know yet. I said, oh, so you're certifying and you're going to be ready to teach before you have a job. That's really cool. But what country are you going to go to? When are you planning on leaving? Oh, I haven't done that yet. That part will be easy.
Yeah.
That was a year and a half ago. She's still trying to work up the courage to get on this flight to go dive in. So that's one.
Yeah. I mean, you see people kind of on each end of the spectrum. Some people, you know, come in to a TEFL course like you were, where it's like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm gonna knock this out and I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And other folks, it's kind of like, they got to kind of take it a step at a time, which is understandable.
I'm here. Okay, I'm done. Now what? Oh, airplane? We can push that off. No, there's a pandemic. We can push that off.
Yeah, I know. Well, so once you got into your TEFL training, like, how did you find it? I know you mentioned a minute ago that, you know, at first when you were teaching the basketball and the English, you're like, this is going to be a piece of cake. Like, I don't necessarily need any training on the English side. So once you dug into that training, how did you find it? I'm just curious.
So first of all, I was thinking about this question because it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't as difficult either, because the way I coach and the way I teach, I'm very detailed guy. I'm small steps, baby steps along the way will get you to the end. And you guys kind of really walked us through it the same way. You didn't just say, here, boom, listen, okay, do this assignment. But no, you baby stepped us through every single part of it. And I even liked the part where I hated English growing up. I did. I hated paper. I hated writing. And that whole grammar section you guys had, I was like, okay. This is the cherry on top. So I appreciated that. But how I found you guys is the better part of it is because I spent a month and a half researching.
Like, oh, really? Wow.
I was sending emails to support to see who was going to hit me back the quickest. I was even trying to get a little sample, like who's going to let me dabble and see if I can really. And for some reason, the fact that you guys lived it, and now you put together all your experiences and you are given this experience for all of us to pretty much pick up in a bag as a ball, sports cliche, as a ball and run. I like that more than the other ones, you know, and plus your support, you guys were really right on top of it. I could send you a message in the morning time in Brazil. I would get a response in the afternoon or early evening. So that I did a month. I'm like, TEFLPros. Oh, I like that. TEFLPros, sports, the play on words. Sport.
There you go.
Where did you certify? Oh, I'm a TEFL pro. What? I'm a pro for the TEFL. Don't you know? Who did you certify through?
I love it. I love it.
But the course itself, I was nervous going in. I'm like, man, do I really have what it takes to teach solely English? You dumbed it down in a sense. So the nerves out the window. Listen, I'm gonna hold your hand through this. If you simply just watch, pay attention, read, and do what we say, it's going to work because we did it. We lived it. We are proof. So
Awesome. That's awesome.
That was what got me. That's what sold me, and I am still to this day very much pleased with my choice.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that the course was supportive along that journey of learning how to become a teacher, because it is a complicated process.
It is.
You know, even if you're like an English nerd and you love all the grammar and the details of it, it's still a lot. You know, there's a lot of logistics in the classroom. So there's things
I didn't know how much planning, you know, like from the coaching side, like, the teacher has a curriculum. From the curriculum, they decide their assignments or what they're going to teach or focus on in their homework. Cool. That's all what they told us growing up. Teacher gets a curriculum. The teacher gets to add a little bit of creativity here based on the testing, the standardized test, you know, in the state. Oh no, you guys got to really sit down. It's almost the same as like any sports training. You got to break it down to the very details, the juicy parts that really set you aside from the rest. So
yeah, well, and a big part of that too is just that I know that you've taught in different environments, and we'll get into that in a second. But you know, when you're going through a training program, it's like you've got to know how to do it from scratch.
Yes.
Because you'd like to hope that you're going to have a textbook, you're going to have things that support you, but some schools don't have a lot of resources, and they're just here, teach a lower level class, and you just have to figure it out. You know, you have to know how to put the pieces together. So, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your time teaching now, because you've been teaching for what, like
almost
a year and a half?
Yeah, I was gonna say almost 2 years. I just passed the year and a half mark.
Okay.
So it's actually quite funny. I think I certified at the end of May, hopped on the online sites, obviously, Cambly and Preply first.
Yeah, because you started right in the pandemic.
Right during the pandemic. That whole story it was in the back of my mind to do the TEFL. Now I possibly can't return to China, and I need to provide for my wife and my daughter while I'm here.
Yeah.
And there was an American school down the street, and they were like, you just need to be a native and have your TEFL. So I was like, I'm going to get my TEFL. I'm going to work there. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Didn't get that job, but got another one. We'll get into it.
Okay.
But certified at, I think, like the 30th, maybe early 20s of May, and my first student, second week of June. And I went
Good for you.
I sat down with the video. I sat down with you twice before the class. Like, okay, is my lesson plan? Is there enough fun here? He's 11 from Hong Kong. I got the Chinese part down. We're going to connect on basketball because I can see his interest.
Yeah.
Is this going to get it? All right, I'm watching you one more time. And I'm like, they make it look so easy. All right, maybe if I add a different color marker, I'll be more like prepared, more juice with. Man, I went in and killed it. It was awesome. And this guy, his family told a friend, and now I went from one student. The next week I had 8. And then by the end of July, a month and a half in, end of July, I went from 1 student to 22 students. And
oh my gosh, that's incredible, Trout.
Yeah. Wow. And I was like, how the heck am I doing this? And you know, the crazy part about online is 22 different students and from 4 or 5 different countries. And I'm getting the same response. I'm high energy. That's one of the things that students and parents love about me. I am a big kid. I've got the personality. I've got the energy. But when you've got to funnel it through the screen, it becomes my biggest hurdle. But they were loving it. And then I think I checked last July, so a few months ago. How many students do I have now? I've reached out to over 200 students in 22 countries.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And mixed now because the pandemic's over. I'm in an actual private school now. Was it brick and mortar? So it's been, I still can't believe it. I can't believe the fact that when you invest in something, you kind of want to see how it turns out on the end. How do you make up for it on the end? And this has been one of the best investments I had. It literally pays the bills for us here in Brazil. And
Oh, that's great.
I get to do what I'm doing with you right now.
Yeah.
Talk, share my language and culture with students.
Yes. Yes. And you're good at it.
Well, I'm good at it because of you guys. I've become great because I found a way to mix the creativity with the juices and the tools you guys gave. So you provided.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, wow. Okay. What a story. I mean,
It
even
is.
in the midst of the pandemic, I think that's what really hits home for me is that you were able to pivot. You know, we talk a lot on the course that teachers have to be able to adapt, and boy, did you do it.
Pivot is a great basketball term and analogy for exactly just this too, but that's it. It was the perfect pivot, and I don't think I'm old. I'm 33 now. I'm like, oh, I could do this till I'm 70, 75.
Yeah.
Like I met a teacher here. She's like, oh, I've been teaching for 50 something years. I was like, you look at her, you're like, you don't even look a day over 40. What are you talking about? Oh, I'm 65.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? A lot of people get into this industry when they retire, which shocked me at the beginning.
I am learning this.
Yeah.
So the more people I meet, Americans in Brazil are TEFL English teachers, and they started it because they came to Brazil and they retired here, and they're like, why not? Why not have some fun on the side, helping people improve one of their skills of life? And so right now, I know 3 teachers that are well into their 60s, early 70s that are doing this, and they began when they came to Brazil and retired.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, trying to get my mom to do it.
There you go.
Get
her to enjoy some warmer temperatures.
She's hard-headed. Well, just come to Brazil, easy investment. Look, I already know who we're gonna go through. You just need to get here. I got the computer. You will just sit, do the certification, and we'll get some money for you.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So what would you tell folks about teaching in Brazil? I'm curious, you know, that you've been there for going on a couple of years. Like what types of jobs are available there for teachers other than, you know, teaching online like you've done?
Yeah, well, online is going to always be there for the simple fact that Brazilian, the culture, they work so hard, so much, and they gain very little. So the little time that they do have, they divert it to family, and whatever's left, a lot of it is personal development with English. Now, the more a lot of the government funding and a lot of the big pocket individuals here are investing into the private schools. For example, my school is a private Christian school, and it's a family owned and operated. A lot of these are starting to surface now, so there will always be an opportunity for a native there. The difference, however, is in the pay. So from what I understand myself and then the other teachers, we are paid pretty much like a normal Brazilian salary. Where it's in China, you know, it's the higher ends of $15,000, $18,000, $2,000 per month. And here it's more along the 1,200, 300 reais, which is like a couple hundred a month, but it's well above the living. Now there's the American school. They are the best school here. They don't talk about their salaries as an American. I respect it. But in China, it was easy because if you came from this country with X certification, you could make this bottom line, this tier of payment. If you worked at an international school, then you moved up to tier 2. And if you were a private school or you had an actual master's in education degree, then there is a bottom line you must never cross. And that was like 30,000 RMB, which is.
Well, did we lose you for a second? You there? You there?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
There we go.
It froze for a second. No worries.
Yep. That's Brazilian internet for you.
Yep, I lived with that for a long time, so I can relate to that. Yep.
Especially this time of day. This is lunchtime, so everyone's in their homes and for the next 30 minutes, and then they'll go back out to work.
Okay, so the internet is getting overloaded right now with that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. So when you say that you're working in private school, is it an elementary school or a high school?
It's pretty much K, our equivalent of K through ninth.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, no, the third floor. We have a couple hundred high school kids. So it's K through 12.
Okay. K through
It's
12.
K through
Yeah.
12. And it's really cool because my daughter is 2.5. She begins there in next school year, so February. And
That's
it's
great.
very exciting because it's really cool when you walk into the school. The first level are all the kids, little babies.
Yeah.
You know, the 4 and under group, the K, and then the first level, or first through third. Second level is 4th to 7th, 8th, and then 9th through 12th on the top floor. So you walk in, you get all the energy and crazy from the little guys, and then it slowly just my classroom's on the second floor, so it slowly just goes away. But it's pretty cool. I went to a school that was K through 12 in Chicago, and
really?
I remember just how crazy it was at the beginning and end of the day as everyone kind of scatters and do their thing. But yeah, K through 12.
Yeah. And so one other thing just about teaching in Brazil that I'm curious about is like the language school culture. Is there much of a language school culture there, or is it more like trying to find a job in a private institution, like a private school like this?
There's a higher preference and priority toward the private school, but the language culture is very much present here. As a matter of fact, outside my window to the left is an English school taught by a native of Brazil who speaks, their certain And then down the way is a public school, and they have an English component, but it's also taught by a native of Brazil. So, in our city, we have 22 what's called easy Inglês, which is easy English in Portuguese. And these are the centers where those students are on their off time. They pay once a week for 1 hour. They go follow a curriculum. They will get a certification. And that's like their proof that they are English savvy. And I don't know if you remember, I emailed you guys, like, is there a way that I can kind of do this, but better? Because when I meet these students in my private lessons, they have struggles with introductions and, just the early stages of development of English, but they've been studying for 2 years, 3 years, and they have a certification that says, on paper, I am B2 or A, blah, blah, blah. No.
Yeah.
Come work with me for 6 months. We'll get you up there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, you can drive down this main road here. On the right, you'll see 3 or 4 different language schools. On the left, you'll see 3 or 4 different language schools. I'm always asking my wife, what? That has English in the name. What is that? Oh, it's an English school. That has English.
Your wife is Brazilian, right?
She is Brazilian, and she's like, why are you always asking me what English schools are? You know the name, you know the title. I'm just confirming that an English school and an English school is right here. What's the difference? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating that in other countries there's just like this proliferation of English language centers? And so even on the same street, you might see multiple English language centers.
China was the worst with you.
Really?
You couldn't go, I don't think you could go half a block without seeing a Canadian English school, an American English school, or Mandarin and English. And I don't know if you've heard recently, they've kind of pulled back with
on their online.
The online and the away from off school hours. You're not allowed to invest X amount of hours into English development, sports, etc. They're trying to give the kids a break after all these years of drilling them.
Wow. Okay. Well, I hadn't heard that about limiting their after school. Okay, well, maybe that's good. I've heard of teachers even getting burnt out in China, Japan, South Korea sometimes because it's so intensive in nature.
That's what those conversations were I mentioned earlier. Those teachers they weren't necessarily complaining, but it's like, man, Monday to Saturday, I have to do this over and over again. And, little Johnny doesn't care, but the mom comes to English and she's learning more than the kid. And so it was cool stories like that. Like the teachers burned out, but then there's always like that silver lining somewhere in the story.
Yeah.
Like, someone's learning.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, this has been great, Terriel. Can you just wrap us up? What would you say to someone
If
who was
you,
like on the fence and they're just like, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm scared to get on the plane. I don't know if TEFL's for me. What advice would you give them?
I'm gonna say dive in, or you can close your eyes and imagine that I will come right behind you and say, it's okay, boom, and give you a little push.
You're gonna shove them by
Yeah, or just a little, boop.
a little
Um,
nudge.
no, don't be afraid. Dive in. And worst case scenario, if you look at it from an investment standpoint, you will receive more than what you put in, and you will get that. There was a dividend. You will get that dividend. It will pay back 3-4 times fold before the end of the year. I did it. I invested in March, and by September, I was extremely proud and happy. If you're someone that's looking at it from like you don't have the time right now, the coolest part about this whole certification with TEFLPros is there were days where I was on my daughter's tablet or on my cell phone or on my laptop in an Uber, sitting at my grandma's house because the Portuguese is just flying and I can't understand everything. So I can just pop out, put the headphones in and listen. It's easily accessible. It's literally one of the coolest, most in-depth breakdowns of what to expect and how to prepare for your first day in the classroom. If you need resume, you get an intro letter. They help you build a teacher portfolio. Everything you need to secure a job at the end of this, they give it to you. All you have to do is say, oh, I don't know, close your eyes. TT is going to come right behind you and just give you a little nudge.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks, Terriel. This has been great.
I loved it. Thank you so much. Again, like I said, best decision. I was scared. I was afraid. I didn't have time. I had a 1-year-old running around, but I did it. I loved it. And from my family to you, I know it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Feliz aniversario. And to all of you that are graduating now, congrats. And to everyone that you're on the fence, just remember, if you close your eyes, TT is going to be there and say, it's okay. Dive in.